Welcome team, and today we're running through an intermediate level warm-up, which is something you can put in front of your workout just to get your muscles prepped, to get yourself warmed up, especially if you're rolling out of bed. If you do your workouts first thing in the morning, this is something that you can do just to get yourself ready for it. It helps to prevent injury, it helps to get yourself in the right mindset, and just to shake the cobwebs out. So I'm not gonna run through a tutorial of this, it's only 9 minutes worth. I'm actually just gonna talk through the movements as I do them here. So you don't need to start your calorie counter now unless you really, really want to, because you're probably not gonna raise your heart rate too much. But instead, we're gonna make our way over to something which we can stand and lean up against, because we're gonna kick it off with hip circles, okay? So hip circles, we're doing the right-hand side first. This is very, very similar to a leg swing, but we're gonna add, like I said, this is an intermediate one. So I'm gonna add a little bit more coordination to this today. So I'm gonna have my left foot planted on the floor. My right leg is gonna lift up off the ground, but we're gonna form circles now. So we're gonna go backwards and then forwards. So what I'm trying to do with this is actually start off nice and small and then get a little bit bigger in this 30 seconds here. So I'm gonna get big, so we're engaging the glute med, we're engaging the hip flexors, but then we're also stretching it, stretching the glute, stretching the hamstring, stretching the hip flexor at the same time, and then rest. Cool, so it's a little bit of like a lateral opener, a hip opener. Now I'm gonna do the other side. So I'm gonna turn around. Actually, I'm gonna go over here, where I've got support on this side, so I can still face you and look at you and talk to you. And we're gonna go now nice and small. So you start off small, okay? Try and keep your torso upright with this one. So we're not flicking over like this. We're staying up nice and straight, and we're gonna start to increase the size of these circles, these hip circles, and maintaining a nice upright. Yes, Michaelito, 100%. So I'm not saying where you should be going, where you should be looking, but you wanna try and work your own range of motion there. So the bone structure for hips, and that plays a huge part in how people will form their stance for squatting as well. Some people need to actually go a little wider to get deep. Some people can go deep right in here. So inchworm walks, I know Grace loves this one. We're gonna put our hands down on the floor in front of us. Try and keep the legs straight, palms on the floor, one hand length in front of the other, walking out until you get to a plank, and then keeping your legs straight. You're gonna use your ankles to walk your feet towards your hands. Again, hands out, keeping the legs straight, keeping the arms straight, and then squeezing the butt, using the ankles only to walk your feet in. And when you get to the end of the room, walk backwards. So we're gonna walk our feet out, and now one palm length. We're gonna walk our hands towards our feet until we get to our forward fold. Feet backwards, using just your ankles, try not to bend your knees. Form a plank, and then arms up. Or using your hands to walk yourself up. When you get to the start again, walk forward. We're doing this for a full minute, okay? 5 more seconds, walk your feet in. Straight arms, straight legs. And what you're aiming to do with this is over time, you're gonna get to a point where you feel your feet and your hands getting closer and closer together. So you may not have the hamstring flexibility to start that. We're gonna do another walking movement now, but what we're gonna do, from the back of the room, you're gonna take a lunge forward, and then we're gonna twist in the opposite direction of the leg, okay? So we're twisting at the hips, we're twisting at the torso. So if it's my left leg that goes forward, twisting to the right. You're gonna forward, twist, up, and then when we reach the end of the room, we're gonna go backwards. So backwards lunge, and we're gonna twist in that direction of the other leg. So if your right foot is forward, whoops, balance, see, this is why we do this. Twist to the left and up. So I'm twisting from the hips here. With the lunge, I'm also not touching the floor with my knee. So I'm gonna go right foot, not touching, twisting to the left, from the hips, from the torso. And you might actually get some creaks and pops in the thoracic spine because that's what we're twisting. We're trying to warm up the thoracic and a bit of the lumbar as well. Twist, up, back. We're gonna step backwards, twisting, and up. So you may have felt the balance go off there. That's what we're doing. We're working the balance. Okay, so plank dogs. Now this is very similar to the plank knee touches that we did with Grace in another stream. what we're gonna do, high plank on the hands. And with a plank, you're obviously on your toes. What we're gonna do is squeeze the hip flexors, straight arms, straight legs, push the butt towards the air, and then push the heels down, and then back to a plank. So we're gonna go from a high plank to a downward dog. Now a downward dog, a static downward dog, is a very good stretch for your hamstrings, calves, and glutes. But we wanna make sure that we're doing dynamic movements here. So we're gonna continually move, squeezing the hip flexors, straighten those legs out, try and get the heels flat down on the floor, and then back. So breathe into it, press your heels down, back to the start here. And up. So you're gonna be warming up your shoulders, warming up the calves and the hamstrings. Most importantly, calves and hamstrings. Okay, we've now got this weird and wonderful and complex movement. This is the arm swing lunge raise. Okay? Arm swing lunge raise. What we're gonna do with this one, straight arms, okay? Or exhale, sorry. So we're gonna go into a lunge. We're gonna reach across, straight arms, not twisting at the torso, and then up onto the toe, okay? Lunge, up onto the toe. Lunge, up onto the toe. Now, you're gonna turn around, let's go. Across, lunge, up, across, lunge, up. There's a lot in this movement to talk about. You keep going, right? As you're reaching across, we're not twisting. We're not twisting. What I wanna do is try and get an active stretch on the shoulders. So one shoulder's being pulled back, one, you're stretching across the front, and the other way around, like that. So it's this funny looking movement, like this. And then we're also doing the lunge, and then up on the toe to engage those calves, okay? Scapular push-ups, next. Now, we're gonna form that high plank, right? We're gonna keep our arms straight. We're gonna dip the spine down in between the scapula, and then we're gonna push the spine towards the ceiling. So imagine there's a grape on your spine. I wanna squeeze it with the scapula, and then I wanna launch the grape into the air. Squeeze, then launch the grape. So this one, because we're not bending the elbows at all, this is all about mobilizing the shoulder blades. It's using a lot of serratus, it's using a lot of core. And it doesn't take long before these actually become quite fatiguing on some of those small muscles that you don't use often. But they're the ones that are used to stabilize yourself and really, really keep you safe, keep your shoulders safe. Okay, this is another one, Muckalito, the hips. Opening the gate and closing the gate. Now, I'd like you to try and balance with this one. It's the right leg. So we're gonna go knee up, knee out, and then down. So that's opening the gate. Closing the gate is gonna do knee up on the outside, bring it into front and down. So bring the knee up in front, open the gate, bring it back behind you, open. We're gonna close the gate from the back, bring it into the front and down. So this is a warm-up that they use a lot in martial arts. Muay Thai, you'll see this a lot. Soccer practice, yeah. So lots and lots of sports will actually use this because it's all about opening the hips up, mobilizing the hips, stabilizing the hips, and balance. Notice how I said I don't want you hanging on to something for this. We've done a few movements already, so you should actually have a little bit of coordination about you. Next one, right leg planted, and yes, exactly. Just what soccer practice, taekwondo, Muay Thai is a big one. Open the gate, and then close the gate. Up, out, down, bring it up behind you. Now in terms of mobility, some people can only really get to there and down. Open up at the side and down. Challenge yourself. See how far back you can get with that rotation. Try not to go too fast either. You want to up, controlled, then down, up, woo, controlled, and down. Any sport with quick directional change. Yep. And hips. Honestly, hips are not used enough in everyday life. So a lot of the clients that I get coming in, I'll run through like a hip session with them. They'll leave saying, oh, that was challenging. But you don't often get DOMs when you do a good hip session. And they do teach you actually to help brace the core as well. So yeah, that's your 9-minute intermediate level warm up. The reason why it's intermediate is because there's a few movements there that require balance. So these guys, these ones, and then also the lunge, arms across, up, balance on the calf, that one. So that kind of seems like that's like an anime rhythm game movement, isn't it? Oh, yeah, all right. So thanks for joining me here. We do have another warm-up session on YouTube here. Either of them are great. If you're gonna do a big lifting session, if you're gonna go out to the field and do some track work, any of those warm-ups are a quick 9-minute burst of movement to get yourself ready and coordinated. So we'll see you next time in a workout video or live on Twitch. See ya.